Okay, we're recording. Scott, go ahead.
All right, awesome. Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Scott Rogowski. I'm the director of the Finance Center for Northern California SBDC, Small Business Development Centers Network. This is our interactive way to communicate with you every Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 10:30 to 12. This is our CARES Updates live Q&A for small businesses and organizations, brought to you by Northern California SBDC and the Finance Center. This is our 28th session of Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. Today is June 10th, so good morning, good Wednesday morning to you. We are all in this together, and we're going to jump right in. So, quick introduction. I know a lot of you have joined these calls over and over again, so we'll kind of go over this real quick. But we cover Northern California for the SBDC. SBDC is a national organization. We're a national federal funded organization from SBA, Small Business Administration. This is our 40th year of being a program. So we're supported by the SBA on the federal side. We're also supported in the state of California by the Governor's Office of Economic Development, which is called GoBiz. And because of this funding, we come to you, small business owners, at no cost. So we offer no cost one-on-one advising that's 100% confidential. We also offer educational workshops and webinars on several different topics on what it would take to start, grow, or operate your business, mostly also at no cost. And for Northern California Network, we cover the most 36 northern counties in the state. We go from the Oregon border down the coast to Santa Cruz. We cover all 9 counties of the Bay Area. We go southeast to Stockton and then back up through Nevada and then the Oregon border. So I'm the director of the Finance Center. I also have my associate director. Her name is Sunita Maharaj. She's on the call as well. She'll be answering questions as I speak, and then also helping me navigate the questions as we go through after the presentation. The Finance Center, we're a team of 50 advisors all throughout Northern California. We work in conjunction with our 20 centers that exist throughout in different cities and counties throughout Northern California. And we specialize in helping business owners do nothing but access capital, whether it be for starting, growing, or now COVID, disaster, and then figuring out what to do after COVID. We're here for you to help you at no cost. We also have Noah Broad on the call today. He is from the San Francisco SBA District Office. He's gonna give us an update when we get to the SBA slide, and then also help us answer some Q&A as long as he can stay on. So we'll jump into it. So here's our agenda. It's a little bit different from previous talks. We normally just go over PPP and EIDL, but today we're actually gonna dive into a little bit of the EIDL denial reasons and how to overcome those reasons. How to overcome those denial, how to overcome those denials, potentially how to overcome them. And then how we can help with other loans, outside of COVID loans, outside of PPP and EIDL, and then we'll do an SBA update and then Q&A. Wow. All right. So our disclaimer is that things are changing all the time. This information was correct when we put this presentation together, but things are changing all the time. We do have SBA on the call today, so they'll maybe tell us about some of the things that changed that we're not currently talking about. There's still money available for PPP. Actually, the last date to apply for PPP is June 30th. So this month is the last month that you can access PPP funds. So if you're still hesitant, not sure where to go, not sure what lender, please reach out to us. We can help you get matched up to a lender, but there is still PPP funds, but only through the end of June. So the EIDL advance, you'll usually get your EIDL advance before you get notified if you're approved or declined for an EIDL loan. So you need to check in your bank account. It's a direct deposit. They're not going to call, email you, text you, or anything. It'll just show up as an ACH, automatic clearinghouse, very similar to how a paycheck would show up. And the title is SBA D, D for disaster. If you applied for the EIDL before the web portal shut down in the middle of April, and you haven't heard back yet, so say you applied, well, I think they're getting really close to the end, but say you applied April 15th, then they'll probably more likely get back to you around June 15th. They're about 2 months, possibly 9 weeks behind as far as when you applied and when they're notifying you. So please be patient. If you haven't heard denial or approved, they're still gonna get back to you. We don't have access to check the status on your loan. We do have an SBA loan number. Sorry, the loan number. We do have an SBA phone number that we'll give you at the end, but we're not allowed to check the status on your loan. You just have to be patient and email the SBA or call them. There's this new loan programs. There's about 3 of them under the name of Main Street programs and Main Street loans or Main Street lending, something like that. So we're not privy to lenders that have come forward for those loans, but when we do know, we will let you know. Hopefully we'll know a couple in the next day or two, hopefully by Friday, but we're not sure. If you're looking to reopen, you're not sure what city or county requirements they are for where your small business is or in your community, and you're just having trouble getting a hold of the county supervisor or city hall, you can go to covid19.ca.gov/roadmap. And you could find out like when your county is going to open, when your city is going to open, and those are all specific to cities and counties. So hard for us to kind of go over all of them, but there is a website for that. All right, so for new PPP changes, this came out last Friday, so we're about almost a whole week into it. So the term changed from 2 years to 5 years. Noah has some other ideas about some stuff we have on here that we still haven't changed, but we like to do that because we like to tease Noah from SBA. But he's going to talk a little bit as well.
I interrupt you on your bullet point here.
There you go. He's going to interrupt me on my bullet point. Maybe, you know what? I should have you talk about this slide, right? No? All right. Well, let me go through it. You can interject. Actually, I'll just let you do it. Go ahead.
Yeah, why not? I'll do your slide here.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So the legislation that passed last Friday, it changed the PPP loan term from 2 years to 5 years. But, and I'm going to put a but after that slide, that is for new approved loans by default. So if you've already been issued a PPP loan, in order to go from a 2-year term up to a 5-year term, that needs to be negotiated with your lender. Your lender now has the option to offer it to you, but they're not obligated. It's not an automatic item to go from 2 years to 5 years if you were already issued a PPP loan. Covered period extended up. So, there's a 8-week covered period where you need to be making eligible expenses. It's up to 24 weeks. And if you were already issued a PPP loan, you have the option to choose either that original 8-week period or to do the 24-week period. We haven't yet issued the kind of the mechanics of, how you would choose between 8 or 24. We're waiting for that rulemaking and a new application to come out, hopefully this week. The breakdown, under the old program, if you used at least 75% of the loan towards payroll expenses, then you could get full forgiveness of the entire loan amount. The legislation that passed on Friday lowered that to 60%. So, you have to use at least 60% of the loan towards payroll expenses, and you can use that other 40% to items that are in the other category. So that other category are mortgage, rent, or utilities, So it went from 75% down to 60%. This bullet point is wrong. There's still going to be a provision to allow for partial loan forgiveness. So if you don't hit that 60% threshold, then there are other mechanisms for partial loan forgiveness that will still be allowed. I also, want to caveat people that, we want to wait for our the new and revised loan forgiveness application to be released, and in order to see exactly if there are any adjustments made to how things are going to be calculated when you go to apply. I think those are my biggest, I don't know if there's, oh yeah, and the other one was deferral periods. So the deferral period was extended from 6 months to 10 months. So, and they changed it to, instead of 6 months from the date of the issuance of the loan, it's 6 months from the end of your covered period. So if you have the 8-week period, then it's going to be 10 months after that 8-week period when your first loan payment would need to be made. If you're using the 24-week period, then it's going to be 10 months after the end of your 24-week period when the first loan payment, if you have loan payments, are made. So I think those are most of your bullet points covered, Scott. Sorry to take you out.
You're the man, dude. Thank you. All right, thanks, Noah. I appreciate that. All right, cool. So, so we've been hearing about a lot of denials from our clients and from business owners in the community, and how to overcome them seems like it's a challenge. And obviously, we don't expect you to be the expert in that. We work with SBA, and we have Noah here today. But we have access to SBA every day, and it allows us to help advise you and coach you on how to navigate this. So these are the reasons why we've seen why people have been denied, whether the credit FICO is a Fair Isaac credit scoring matrix that we've all have had for, I don't know how many years, but it's below threshold. So they're not telling us per se what the minimum FICO score is, your credit score is. But that may be a reason why you get declined. It's below threshold. You are not substantiated with economic injury. So like the economic injury was just not validated. Character reasons, and we are going to go into all these on the next few slides kind of briefly. If you have additional questions about these, you can reach out to us at no cost. We can help you. So delinquent child support payments, kind of like how to navigate that. Applicant requests a change in plans or fails to proceed. Applicant is not a small business, which, you know, we can kind of go over that, or Noah can go over that one. Business activity, and then unverifiable information. So if we were to jump in these, we're kind of going to go over these very briefly. So here's like the first 4 or 5. So copy of credit report. So they ask you, so if your FICO score is below threshold, that's kind of like the reason. And you think your credit score has, you know, probably increased from the time that you applied to the time that they actually got back to you, then you could pull your most recent credit report through Experian, and you can work with an advisor, one of our finance center advisors, or you can work with your local center advisors and help kind of fix that credit, maybe help you kind of navigate that, massage that a little bit, and then kind of re-pull your credit report again. Since some of the denials have been taking about 2 months to get back to you, maybe your credit score has increased. Maybe you missed a mortgage payment in March, but it was a mistake, and then you got it redone, and then now your credit score is back up 100 points, which we had that example happen with one of our clients, and then he's reapplied or reconsidered his application. So economic injury, from what we can figure out, from what we've talked to Office of Disaster Assistance, ODA, is that the economic injury has everything to do with cost of goods. COGS is cost of goods. So you have your sales, your revenue, minus your cost of goods, the cost of goods, and then you know, minus that is your gross profit. Then you have all your expenses. So if you have cost of goods, if you're a service industry, you don't necessarily have a lot of cost of goods. If you're a manufacturer, you have a lot of cost of goods. If you're a wholesaler, you have a lot of cost of goods. If you're retail, you have a lot of cost of goods. So if you accidentally put your cost of goods more than your revenue, which is actually impossible for that to happen. Well, I guess it's not impossible, but if you did that, then you would have to reconsider your cost of goods, maybe show it at a lower amount, or maybe show why you accidentally put it over your revenue amount, and then kind of write a story about that or an explanation. If you need help with that, we can help you with that. We can help you with all this, actually. Some people put cost of goods higher than what they are because they included operating expenses. So for whatever reason, so we need to help you kind of reconsider that, or kind of show a lower amount of cost of goods. Character has everything to do with credit, like felony type stuff though. So do you have a felony in the past? If you have a Form 912, you have to fill out, I think you'd fill out a Form 912 when you apply for the EIDL, or you had to. So that tells you if you had a felony in the past, which may be okay per SBA deciding on it. Not all felonies are automatic decline, but if it involves fraud or some sort of embezzlement, it's much harder to overcome. So the felony, you fill out a 912 form, doesn't give you a lot of information. It doesn't give you a lot of room on 912 to write a story about what happened. But if there's more explanation, then maybe you can get some supporting documentation. Child support, so it can't be delinquent. If it's delinquent, you need to bring current and provide documentation that it's current. You need a letter stating that you have an arrangement with your child support and that it's in good terms. So first, if it's delinquent, you have to make it current, and then you have to write a letter that you have an arrangement that it's in good terms. So applicant requests change in plans. So the request, so they changed plans, something within it, they changed the plans, whether they were offered over 25 grand and now they don't want to give collateral. So if that's the case, then take less. If you don't want to go over 25 because you don't want collateral, then take less. But if you take less, it's much harder to request an increase later. My bad. Maybe I should have Noah speak. All right. So this is how you kind of overcome these 4 or 5 things. These are the last 3. There's about 8. All right. So if you're not a small business, there's a Form 355. I'm not sure what that is. Do you know what that is, Noah? Form 355? Okay. Do you know, so small business size and determination, can you tell them what the small business size is?
You mean like our like what our threshold for how we define a small business?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's 2 answers in this, but the general answer is fewer than 500 employees or less than, I think it's 5 million in revenue. Maybe it's even 10 now. Maybe it's 15. But the short answer is 99% of small business, 99% of applicants are small businesses. We have a tool on SBA.gov. I think it's sba.gov/size. And that will bring you straight to our size standards. So you can actually, if you know your NICS code, your industry code, you can look up a very specific definition of whether it's a revenue-based definition or an employment-based definition for your specific industry. I'll put a link here about our size standards, and as well as the size standards tool. And that's just like a little tool that you can kind of go through and answer 4 or 5 questions, and it'll tell you whether you're a small business under our definitions or not.
Okay, cool. All right, thanks. So business activity, ineligible business activity, nature of business, statement detailing business activity. So maybe you were denied because they just gave you a blanket reason of your business activity is not sufficient. So if you rewrite a statement detailing the business activity, it kind of explains it a little bit more in detail as to like what you do as a business and how you operate. So there is this thing of a lot of people that have multiple franchises with, they each have their own EIN, but it's causing problems because it looks like there's duplicate applications for this one person. There's different guidance on this. One guidance is that you can go to your congressional member in your community or where your business is, and you can put an inquiry in, and then ask them. Then also, if you have different locations, but you use the same tax ID, so say you have 3 chocolate stores, but you use the same tax ID for each one, then you can only qualify for 1 loan. So there was some guidance earlier that we have given. Actually, if you have multiple businesses, I guess we weren't asking if you have multiple IDs, tax IDs. So just a little clarification on that. So the unverifiable info is the most detailed portion of a denial. There's so much into it. I only kind of put like a portion of it in here, but So the info does not go together. Like your routing number is incorrect, which we heard a lot of people that said that. Their bank account ownership is not matching the business ownership. There's some sort of fraud data going on. Some guidance is that you can contact your local congressional office and they can help you fix your routing number, meaning they can get a hold of the Fed somehow and, you know, kind of put your name in there and tell them that you have your routing number was messed up. Business that don't show up in the public record. So if they try to Google your business or look you up on the California state website, they can't find you, or it's like the Secretary of State's website. Then you can go to the county and get a copy of your DBA, or you can get copies of articles of incorporation. You can send those in. You can also go to your bank and get a copy stating that you are the owner of the account so that they can also verify. So a lot of things for the unverifiable info. If you like missed a number on your checking account or your routing number, it is going to deny you because they can't disperse the funds to you. So, yeah. All right. So that's some of the denial stuff that we've been coming up through. So how can we help you with other loans? So most of these loans, actually all these loans right here, could be an SBA 7A or an SBA 504. Most of them are 7A. Buying a building or refinancing building is more likely to be a 504, but it could be a 7A. So if you're looking to start up a business right now, we can help you also at no cost. We have local centers. We have 20 in our region. So we have, you know, all over, like, you know, the Bay Area, Northern California. So you can reach out to them. If you're not sure where to find them, you can call us. We can help you find them. If you're reinventing your business model, like you're going to transition to something else, or you're going to go from retail to e-commerce, we can help you get a loan as you transition for that. If you're expanding right now, we can help you get a loan for that. If you're going to buy your building, the rates right now are crazy low to buy a building. They're like the high twos, like 2.85 if you're going to buy a building. So that rate to amount that you borrow is probably potentially more likely going to be less than your rent. So you can save some money, improve your cash flow there. If you need to consolidate some business debt, we can help you with that. You're looking to buy some equipment because you're growing. If you have some working capital needs, like you need to pay for staffing or advertising or some sort of inventory or, you know, some other needs. And then also if you're selling or transitioning your business and you need somebody to buy your business, we can help you find somebody to buy. We can also help you get them get the money to pay for you, or pay for your business. So if any of those loans are 504s and 7A backed, SBA is going to automatically pay the principal and interest for the first 6 months, which is really amazing. And it's very, very nice of NOAA to do that. And so then if you need SBA disaster contact info here, there's the phone number, the email, and then if you need to do a reconsideration because you were denied and you have some more supporting documentation to submit in, this is the email for that. It's, that's our new, look at that, reconsider, pdcrecons@sba.gov. So I'm going to throw it back to Noah, see if he has any updates, and then we'll jump into Q&A.
Yeah, so I think there is a Senate Oversight Committee hearing this morning on the SBA programs. I think we're sort of waiting for that hearing to finish before maybe, putting out rules and putting out further implementation of the legislation that was put into place on Friday. The real update right now is we want to wait. It's just further waiting because we want to have some rulemaking and especially that new application released, which will look at that, which will be kind of that nitty-gritty implementation of legislation that was passed on Friday. And I kind of gave some of the updates when we were on that slide that I took over from you a little bit earlier. I don't know if we have, beyond that, I'm not sure if we have additional updates beyond that.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Thanks for joining, and we'll go ahead and get to Q&A, and Noah will stay on as long as he can to help us. Is there a congressional meeting happening right now, and you jumped off to be on this call?
It happened this morning.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks. So we have a phone number. You can call us. It's 833-ASK-SBDC. You can get a live person. We can get you to an advisor at no cost. We help you, whether it's one of our advisors or it's one of the center directors, advisors in our region, one of our 20. You can also go to asksbdc.com. You can watch this being streamed on our YouTube channel. And then if you want to email us, you have a more specific question, you're not sure if it's best to call or email, you can email at loans@asksbdc.com and we will get back to you same day. If you speak Spanish or you need somebody that speaks Spanish to help you assist you with your business, or you need this information in Spanish, you could email espanol@asksbdc.com and you can get in contact with Oscar Garcia at the California Hispanic Chambers of Commerce's office in Sacramento. Him and his team run an affiliate program for us in Northern California, where they have advisors that do nothing but speak Spanish and help you in Spanish to navigate these COVID loans and possibly help you as well start, grow, and thrive. So there's our information. We're gonna go ahead and get into Q&A. We have 36 questions. Sorry. Don't mean to. All right.
Scott, one of the questions that's been asked several times, and I've been answering it, but I think that we should answer it here since I think we're going to continue getting this asked, is can you reapply for more PPP money since you're running out and the time has been extended?
Yes, so the answer is no. There's only one PPP loan that may be issued for a single business.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks. Actually, I got that asked the other day too.
Yeah, there are some situations where a person has been approved for a loan and they need to make adjustments to it. So maybe they calculated their payroll costs incorrectly or something to that effect. And in that case, I've worked with those businesses to cancel the loan they were issued and then reissue a brand new loan. That's different, but a second loan isn't allowable under the program.
Okay. Says, do you need to keep all your FTEs until 12/31/20 if you choose the 24-week period? So you don't need to necessarily. Do you need to keep them, or do you just need to hire them before then?
I want to wait to see what the application looks like.
That's a great answer. Good job, man.
I mean, yeah, there's some stuff where I just don't want to speculate until we get that application and see exactly how they want to calculate how that form is going to be calculated. For items on forgiveness, also, it really is an item where there isn't a lender out there that I know of that is even accepting applications for forgiveness yet. And we have a kind of a full calendar year period, if not more time, for people to ultimately go and apply for forgiveness of the loan. So I know we're coming up at the end of the 8-week period. For some people who may have gotten approved for PPP loans right away, very early on, and they're thinking about, well, they want to apply on, it's 8 weeks, it's a 56-day period. They're thinking they want to put in their application for forgiveness on day 57. The lenders may not be ready on day 57 to even begin accepting applications. So just to, give a context around that forgiveness, process and timeline.
Okay. Do you have an idea of when that's going to come out? The new guidelines or anything?
Unfortunately not. I believe, I think it's going to be issued very quickly. This week, over this week and next week, we're going to see items issued. So it's not like, it's not going to be like, oh yeah, sometime in November or August or something. It's going to be, we're talking in over the course of a week or two, I think.
All right, cool. All right, so we received our PPP loan on May 1st and we are in week 6. Do we have to continue to pay employees over the next 2 weeks, or can we stretch it out over the next few months now that we have 24 weeks?
That's kind of why I want to see what that application looks like. Because, assume you're still on the 8-week period and, for now, and I'm not sure what the mechanism for switching between an 8-week period and the 24-week period looks like as of yet on the state. I think it'll be baked into the application itself, where when you go to apply, you will choose either an 8-week period or a 24-week period, but so it'll be kind of an after the fact thing where you can choose. But I really do. I think we need to wait to see what the application looks like.
All right. So we could just jump off this call now. We don't need to answer.
Yeah. Just put your feet up a little bit.
All right. That's really nice of you. All right. I attended another webinar through the NFIB, who stated that if a business decides to use a 24-week period but finishes using the loan at week 12, we could then apply for forgiveness at that point rather than waiting the full 24 weeks. They also stated that the FTE would be at the 12th week rather than the 24th week. Do you have any conflicting information with this? They stated that Steve Munchin testified today stating this. So, like, from what we know, what we said like on Monday, that you can apply for forgiveness anytime within the 24 weeks, right?
That may be the case, but I want to see what that calculator looks like. I just don't want to miss. I don't want to come out swinging and say like, oh yeah, it's definitely going to be like this, when I don't have, when we don't have those rules released in the application yet, please.
Cool. How long must new employees be retained? Just long enough to meet full loan amount, or forever, or for 8 weeks? How long is retained? Just enough.
So under the old application period, it would look at that employee's, how at basically the FTE calculation for that employee during the covered period. So on the old application that was released, it would say, okay, here's your employee, here's their ID number, and here's what their FTE count was before the disaster, here's what it was during the covered period, and that's how the calculation would look. It was averaged over that 8-week period.
Okay. Our employees are very expensive. We can blow through the entire loan amount in less than 4 weeks. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We received the EIDL loan documents. We are an S Corp, and the documents ask for the tangible and intangible personal property of the owner as collateral. I'm trying to confirm if this means all assets of the S Corp or of the owners of the S Corp. The documents are not clear, and the ownership group is worried about the personal assets. Well, depending on how much you got approved for, David, if it's over 25, they are going to ask for collateral. If you have it, they're going to ask for collateral for the business and the person.
Personal guarantees. This is something I was able to clarify with our Office of Disaster Assistance. A personal guarantee on the EIDL loans is only required for loans that are made over $200,000 in size. That was actually baked into the legislation specifically for this disaster and just for COVID-19 loans made under the EIDL program. So if it was over $200,000, they'll ask for personal guarantees. But yeah, anything over $25,000, they're going to ask for collateral.
Oh yeah. I'm wondering how EIDL loan amounts are calculated, meaning how does SBA decide on the loan amount eligible and what criteria is used for approval? Well, we don't really know the criteria that's used for approval because that would probably take all day. But as far as the loan amount, they're not telling us how they calculate the loan amount. It's used to be 6 months worth of working capital, but then I heard it was like 2 to 6 months. So I'm not sure if Noah even wants to say anything for that.
The short answer on that is that the Office of Disaster Assistance makes the determination, which is to say that the loan officer or the individual that's reviewing the application has the discretion to that they have a calculation that kind of sets the floor, that sets a starting place for that loan, but they'll look at the whole application and they can make adjustments up or down you know, based on their underwriting. So it's not, you know, a straight formulaic approach. You know, in you know, that you know, it's something that's set by the Office of Disaster Assistance. The starting place is derived from what goes into the COGS and revenue boxes, though. So that's kind of that starting place where the size of the loan starts from that.
Okay. Regarding PPP forgiveness, I'm a C Corp in structure. I am the officer, pay myself with a W-2 and only full-time employee. I have part-time employees. I pay for my health insurance through my C Corp. Can this apply towards forgiveness in the payroll? The answer is yes, it can. Health benefits, and, all that good stuff. And your pay too, but your pay is limited to currently $15,385 unless it changes, which we don't know if it's going to change or not.
Yeah. Or yeah, that would be the maximum that you could pay yourself under it.
Okay, so with recent changes to PPP, can I now be forgiven for salaries that extend beyond the 8 weeks? So we don't know that, Curtis, yet. For example, since our loan amount was 2.5 months of wages, can we now have 2.5 months of wages forgiven rather than the previous 8 weeks? So we don't know that yet.
Well, what do you mean? So, I mean, it's still 2.5 months.
Still 2.5 months, but like, so 8 weeks is not 2.5 months, you know, so that's what they're asking. So like, can it be extended? And right now we don't know. I have a fairly high FICO score, and because I applied for the PPP and received it, it lowered my score by almost 30 points. Wow. I find this offensive and awful. Anything to do? I don't know what to tell you. You know, that's interesting that it went down that. But if it only went down because of that, it's really easy for it to bounce back. Just, yeah. And that would be easy for you to explain to another lender if that happened because of that. Like, that's easily explainable so that you can, you know, write a letter of explanation, and if you need help, we can help you. I applied for applied for advanced EIDL, but got an email saying your SBA application is ready for the next step. Create your SBA Economic Injury Disaster Loan Portal account to provide additional details or requested documents. Is it for EIDL Advance or EIDL? It looks like EIDL Loan. Please let me know.
Yeah, so if you get an email inviting you to accept an offer, that is a loan offer. That's not for the EIDL Advance. The EIDL Advance should get deposited directly in your bank account, you know, without emails or notifications. In some cases, I've worked with business owners who never received their EIDL Advance, and feel free to reach out to our local district office. Put the email address in the chat here. It's sfomail@sba.gov. And I'm looping those business owners in with our Office of Disaster Assistance because I've had some business owners that where this was a situation or a case that happened.
All right. So is there any public record to show who's received EIDL or PPP loan? There's a landlord that wants to know if his tenants have received any of these loans.
That's okay. Well, yeah. So that information hasn't been released as this date, not in a detailed recipient by recipient level.
Okay.
We've made a number of releases of, you know, where the program is at in terms of the aggregate performance and how many loans have been funded and by which which lenders are making the most loans and which industries and all that, but not at the loan level.
Okay. On 5/20, we were approved for the EIDL. We have never received an advance or grant. I've emailed the disaster customer service at SBA and haven't received an answer. What can I do now? I'm afraid to sign the paperwork for the loan if they can't even get the grant funding paid. How has this been resolved by other clients? Well, I'm going to type in, Kathy, I'm going to type in Noah's, it's not Noah's email, but it's the email that.
Sorry, it's our local office's email address where we're responding to those and looping in our Office of Disaster Assistance.
Email, Kathy, and we'll get you an answer.
Yeah, when you email us with those, please include your application number.
And your EIN.
You can include. I mean, that's not as necessary. The application number, though, is something I like to make sure that we have.
Okay. I got approval for EIDL and signed the LANA. Don't know what that is, but
That's the loan agreement.
okay. Look at that. What next steps do I need to do? I see in the agreement it requires to submit the closing documents. What are closing documents?
So there should just be a DocuSign that you go through and accept. And when you hit submit on that, those are the closing documents. I don't know if I don't believe there's anything that's mailed or anything else that's required after you hit accept and go through the entire DocuSign process. Unless the Office of Disaster Assistance has specifically asked for something. So it's really a matter of hitting all the submit buttons, and then you wait for those to get their final sign off, and you get a direct deposit straight in your bank account with the full loan amount. Working with other business owners, it's my experience is it's anywhere from 24 to 72 hours that I've seen that happen.
Okay. My EIDL as a sole proprietor got disinclined. Maybe
Declined.
And haven't received a denial email yet. But can I go ahead to email the recon's email and ask reason to see if it's fixable?
How did they know they got declined?
I don't know. It's weird.
They didn't get notified. I mean, yeah, the note. I mean, you can also that's one of those items. If you know you got declined for some reason but haven't received a decline letter, reach out to our to our local district office, and I'll try and get an off. I can loop in our. We have the ability to escalate some items where there's complications with the Office of Disaster Assistance to ensure people get a response.
Okay. Once EIDL loan papers are signed, generally, how long does it take before the funds are deposited into the bank account? I have clients who have been waiting 2 to 3 weeks and are concerned.
And they've signed all the papers and they haven't gotten a deposit yet?
Yeah, that's what it says.
So that one's new to me. In my experience working with business owners, once you've signed, because there's 2 items in the portal, I guess, is what I would say is you get the offer. So you go to the website, you get an offer, with a little slider where you get to decide how much the loan you want to accept. And then you hit like the accept button. And at that point, it goes back to the Office of Disaster Assistance for some additional underwriting. And so that can take a few weeks, a couple weeks. And then you get a response back from the Office of Disaster Assistance to go back into the portal and sign the loan the LANA, the loan authorization agreement. And so that's a DocuSign process that you go through and sign all the loan terms. And after that point, I got someone in the chat saying it was within 5 business days of doing their DocuSign. It's relatively quickly after you've done the DocuSign process. If you've been waiting multiple weeks after having done the DocuSign process, definitely reach out to our district office and we'll see what's holding that up.
Okay. So if the loan is forgiven for PPP, is the interest forgiven too, or just the loan? Or
Interest is also forgiven.
Interest is also forgiven. Okay.
Yep.
Even the interest that accrued, like
yep.
While you're chilling, that too. Wow. That's awesome. All right. Cool. Hello. I see that you also offer help with consolidation loans. What kind of assistance do you offer for sole proprietors like me? Well, we offer everything. Marta, I accidentally pressed the wrong button to answer your question. I was going to put our email in there, but Marta Kamer, you can just call us or email us and we could help you with that. It's hard to, we offer any type, bless you. We offer any type of assistance for sole proprietors, just like we do for C Corps or LLCs or partnerships or S Corps or whatever. It's all the same to us. We don't we don't discriminate for entity structure, so we can help you with anything that you need around business per se. If we choose to go longer than the 8 weeks to 10 weeks, would we recalculate the owner-employee cap from annualized? So that we don't know yet, Carrie. We don't know if you're going to be able to increase the owner cap of 15,385. I may have
likely not.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, that's unlikely to change.
Okay. I may have heard wrong. Are businesses who have already received their PPP money able to use the 24-period week? If so, do they have to do anything to start using the 24 weeks?
So the answer is, so that first part is yes. If you've already received the funds, you can use the 24-period week. The second part is how, which is we're waiting this week to understand the mechanics of it. But yeah, the short answer to that is yes. If you've already received a PPP loan and you have that 8-week period, you are eligible to use the 24-week period that was enabled by law. It'll be an option where you can choose between the two. The exact mechanics of electing one or the other are something we're waiting for that the revised forgiveness application to come out and address, or rulemaking.
Okay. I thought the EIDL advance was part of the overall loan amount. The only difference being that it didn't have to be paid back unless you got the PPP, which it ends up being rolled into that. Some of that is right. So I would just say that the EIDL advance is issued separately from the loan. So whatever the loan amount that's listed in your EIDL, in that portal, if the amount of funding that you see in your EIDL in that portal is what you have to pay back in full. The amount that is direct deposited into your bank account with no loan agreement terms or portal creation or anything to that effect, you do not have to pay back. What is the typical time period between getting the invitation to create the SBA account for the EIDL and when the loan documents are created and sent to DocuSign? What's the estimated typical time? We don't have the official sort of timeline from our Office of Disaster Assistance. And working with business owners, I've seen, it's been everything from a couple weeks to there have been some shorter time periods between that. It kind of depends on what your application is and how big the loan is, how complicated the underwriting is for that loan. So the unsatisfying but true answer is that it depends. Okay. Can I stay with the 8-week period but take the 60-40 split? Or if I use 8-week repayment, must I stay with the 75-25? No, the 75-25 is gone. So, so that's not, that's gone for everybody. No matter what time period you used, it is 60-40 for everybody. Oh, really? Did you also say, Noah, that if they have an existing loan for PPP that they can't change it from 2 to 5? That's only for new people or new applicants? So yeah, changing the loan term from a 2-year term to a 5-year term is not automatic. Oh. And so if you get a new PPP loan, it'll have a 5-year term. This only applies to people who don't get full forgiveness or don't pursue forgiveness. But yeah, the loan term was 5 for brand new loans. For any loan that was already issued, it's not an automatic process and your lender has to approve it. So it's a matter of going back to your lender and asking your lender to make that change. And there might even be some negotiation in that process, but it's not an automatic process for people who have already been issued PPP loans. Okay. PPP question: if I have overpaid an S Corp owner employee, paid with W-2 by $5 an hour, how can I undo it? I am on this 7 weeks of 8 weeks due to go into payroll company today. Well, overpaying isn't really an issue under the PPP.
You only run into loan forgiveness reduction items if you have reduced the pay or hours of your employees. So I have had some, maybe, and I think maybe this is what the question is getting at. Some folks have the idea that like you can't increase pay or you can't increase hours. It has to be exactly what it was before the disaster, and that's not how this program is structured. Actually, it's only structured to you only face loan forgiveness reductions if you have reduced the FTEs or reduced the pay of employees. If you've increased it, there's no issues.
I think the question is in regards to owner employees. So there is a maximum amount. So maybe on the last pay period, you hold back to make sure that you pay them accordingly.
Okay, yeah. If you run up against the cap of what you're allowed to pay yourself under the FTE or under the Paycheck Protection Program, whether for an employee or an owner, a sole proprietor, or owner draw, then yeah, that might be a solution. So, yeah.
Yeah, so just the last paycheck, just pull back to make sure that it equals out to be the correct amount at the end of the period.
Can you guys please put the SFO mail thing in there again, please?
Yeah.
The live chat, please. So it says, regarding the EIDL, when does the interest begin and when is the first payment due? So the first payment is due the first of the 12th month, and the interest begins accruing right away. I was not aware that the RE real estate investment loans were available. Is this new, as I was earlier told they did not qualify? So real estate investors, if you're a landlord and you own the building, you have tenants, you do qualify for Triple P, so you could apply and you do qualify. Before COVID, you would not have qualified for an SBA 7A.
And there are some restrictions on EIDLs around real estate developers.
Okay. I wanted to inquire if any assistance is available to small businesses with the following situation: S Corp with only 1 to 2 employees, do not take a salary or generate payroll. Yeah, we can help you. I'll just put our information in there. We can help you per your business scenario. All right,
I'll set the number on the screen, the 833 ask.
Yeah.
And we'll be able to help you.
Yeah. Somebody asked if these are being held in Spanish anytime this week, and yes, they are. Tomorrow.
On Thursdays, we can see if Alan will be able to put that link in the chat for us.
I'm going to try and find it right now.
Thank you.
If the EIDL says amount approved and it says verify identity completed, electronic disbursement completed, signed closing documents completed, does this mean that I'm all set, or is there another step? Sounds like you're all set.
Sounds like you're all set.
Yeah. So it's 11:27. We have 33 minutes left. We've answered 81 questions. We have 15 left, but they keep coming. So, all right. So I have a PPP loan. I have junk removal company. I don't have work for my guys. I hired new people to sell online. What do I need to do to maintain in compliance with forgiveness? I don't offer my original guys new work because they aren't suited to online sales. I don't have work for my guys. I hired people to sell online. So John, if you just have to, for total forgiveness for PPP, just whatever your total FTE was before February 15th, you need to have that, or tried your best to have it, to match that same number by December 31st.
Yep. And I would say there's Additionally, yeah, it's not necessarily tied to any one specific employee or specific business activity being performed. It's about FTEs and salaries. So if you had to bring on new people, or if you had to, or if the people that you let go can't come back, there's also a number of exemptions that will exempt employees out of any forgiveness reduction calculations. And the new legislation had a number of different categories of exemptions listed in it. So when you go to apply for forgiveness, if you have employees that didn't return back to work, that you offered, you made a formal job offer to come back to work and they turned it down, that reduction in FTE, that particular employee will be exempted out of any forgiveness reduction calculation. If you were not able to return back to your regular business activity that you were able to because you had to comply with new OSHA, CDC, or health and safety guidelines. There's 3 agencies: OSHA, CDC, or the maybe it's HHS, or HHS guidelines. Then that reduction in business activity, that FTE reduction will get exempted out. If you're unable to rehire somebody, if you're unable to find a qualified candidate to meet to rehire into a position, in that case, that will get exempted out. I think those are if you had to fire a person, or if a person voluntarily requested a reduction in hours or salary, that situation will be exempted out. So there's 5 or 6, different categories of situations where if you had to have a reduction in FTEs, it will not be held against you when you go to apply for loan forgiveness.
All right. So my lenders, Wells Fargo and the bankers, keep telling me they have no one I can speak with regarding the extension. My 8 weeks are coming up and I'm concerned. If no one gets back to me from Wells Fargo, I exceeded my 8 weeks. Do you think my 1% interest that's accruing will get dismissed once someone does contact me from my lender to advise that my 24-week extension was accepted? This is very confusing information.
Mm-hmm.
We agree. Would you recommend them not to go to their bank and talk to them about this? Or just recommend them to wait for the next thing to launch, or what?
So like I said, many of the lenders aren't ready to process loan forgiveness applications. So, I always recommend people to build out a relationship with their lender. I think it's, even if you can't get a hold of them, it's keep trying until you have someone that you can reliably speak with about your loan, because ultimately they are the holders of your loan. So you should have a good relationship with them and open channels of communication with those lenders. Those lenders likely are in the same position as we are here at SBA in our district offices, where everybody is waiting to see what our new loan application looks like, and they're not ready to accept loan forgiveness applications yet. So they may not have answers for you. So I would say, definitely work with your lender. If you're coming up at the end of that 8-week period, know that there will be a mechanism for you to elect and choose a 24-week period. I can't say what that mechanism looks like yet, because this week or next week, that's when it's going to be released. But it is going to be part of that process of asking for loan forgiveness. And many of those items are, when you think about applying for loan forgiveness, because remember, loan forgiveness includes any interest that has accrued on a loan. And there will be up to 16, there'll be a full calendar year at the very least to even apply for loan forgiveness. So June 30th of 2021, if your 8-week period is up next week, you could wait to apply for forgiveness until June 30th of 2021. And 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 at that point put in an application. And I guess the context of that is just to say that there's a large window of time in which to apply for forgiveness. It does not need to happen on day one of the end of your 8-week period. And and if loan forgiveness is granted a year later, it's going to include any interest that may have accrued in that time period as well. So you won't have to pay that interest that's accrued while waiting to get your loan forgiveness application approved.
Okay. So is June 30th still the date, Noah, for having maintaining the full-time FTE people or employees, or is it now December 31st, or does it depend if you choose 8 weeks?
Well, the date that I still have listed for applying for forgiveness is by June 30th, 2021. So by next year, that's when you have to apply. But is your question when they have to have their FTE counts or?
Yeah, when do they have to have their FTE counts total? Is it because before the change from 8 to 24, it was June 30th, and now is it December 31st, or is it June 30th still? We don't know.
I don't know. I want to see what the application says.
Yeah, they're finding it difficult to keep everybody until their full FTE count until, is it the 30th or is it going to be extended because their business isn't quite open fully yet. So it's hard to keep them on, but not have the income to do so. Well,
I mean, I will say that that time period that's going to be looked at for comparisons is the time period, it's that covered period. So you want to look at your FTE count during the covered period, during your 8-week or 24-week period, not, necessarily, way far out or, after that fact.
Thank you. Appreciate the clarification.
Yeah, and that's something that was baked into the last application as well. The last application was looking at a time period. The point of comparison was a time period prior to the disaster versus that 8-week period in which you're making eligible expenses.
Okay. Let's see. How long must new employees be retained? Just long enough to meet the full loan amount or whatever for 8 weeks. Our employees are very expensive. We can blow. Okay. Was answered live, but all I thought I heard was so no. Does that mean no do not have to have retain them, or now I can let them go?
We kind of just answered that question right now.
Yeah,
No went over the 8 weeks is the FTE count.
All right. We are getting down to 3 questions. Look at that. I'm sure people are going to.
Yeah, and there was, I have to watch the end of the hearing this morning and see what Stephen Mnuchin said, but someone mentioned earlier that maybe something was said there that if you spent all the funds, in the first 2 weeks of that 8-week covered period, that there might be some mechanism for just looking at that 2-week period for FTEs. I haven't seen that on the prior application, but it might be something that's baked into the new application. So that's really an item we want to see exactly what the process looks like, rather than speculating what it will look like. And unfortunately, that does mean waiting, through this week and hopefully not longer than just this week.
Right. Hey, Noah, is the Main Street lending program, is that related to SBA or no? That's separate from SBA, right?
That's going to be issued straight from the Treasury Department.
Okay.
And it'll be, somewhat similar to the PPP. It'll be distributed through banks, through lending institutions. But I don't think that's launched yet. I think it's going to open at the end of this month. That's when it's scheduled to open. But I don't have a ton of details on it aside from what I've seen published to the Federal Reserve websites.
Can we circle back on the PPP? When does interest start? Because this is a confusing thing. I'm getting some texts from some advisors in regards to that. When does the PPP interest start?
The day the loan is issued.
Okay. So if they ask for forgiveness 10 months from then, the date interest still accrues from day one you receive that that loan.
Yeah.
If it turns into a loan.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if it's going to get forgiven, it will be forgiven, including the interest, even 10 months worth of it.
Correct.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so I'll read the next question. For full forgiveness on the PPP, do we have to pay employees the full 8 hours per day or more, or can we pay employees whatever they work per day, whether it is 6, 7, or 8 hours per day?
That's up to you, the business owner, how you want to do scheduling for that employee. It's not, you don't have to, there's a huge variety of scheduling, mechanisms that business owners can use. The main item is what was that average, number of what was that employee's average full-time equivalent prior to disaster, and what was that employee's average full-time equivalent over that covered period when you were paying for their salary with PPP funds.
Okay. All right. Okay. So for salary hour/hourly wage reduction on the PPP forgiveness application, does the average annual salary or hourly wage refer to the employee's hourly wage rate? Example, $20 an hour, and not their total compensation during the first quarter. If it's not, isn't it? Their total compensation is not their hourly rate.
Yeah, it would be their total. I mean, you can check with your lender about because we do ask that, the lenders verify payroll expenses, but, the program is built around what your payroll expenses have been, not what they were, on paper scheduled to have been.
Okay. I received a PPP loan, have 2 questions. Heard that the amount of time it covers is longer. The answer is true. Did I get signed? Yes. Does it mean I can cover my salary for 3 times or more? No, you can't. At this time, you can't. Of course, I need to spend it only on approved items. Who do I report this to, and when, and how, and what forms? We don't have all those yet.
Ultimately, you'll be reporting it to your lender, though.
Yeah. Well, cool. Oh, there you go. Look, another one popped in there. Can rental landlord apply? Yes, true. You can apply. There is some restrictions that so Noah says, but you won't know that until you apply. So we answered 108 questions. We have 19 minutes left. We can stay on.
Scott, as we've got some time, I've got a poll that I created. I'd really love to get some input from our regulars and also folks on what other types of webinars they might like to have from us. So I'm going to kick that poll off and everyone should be able to see it.
Yeah, let's do it. Kick it off.
So you'll see, and you can vote for as many as you want there. And if there's something you'd really, really love to see, and it's not there as a webinar title, just throw it in the chat for me and I'll pick it up from there. We very much appreciate your input and feedback. Gotta say, these probably won't be part of this session. They'll be on top of this at some other times.
I know everyone's very sad.
I know.
There too.
Well, I like to kind of keep these things focused on the financial support.
Yeah. Hey Noah, is there a link to get the EIDL loan terms and conditions? Probably not, right?
I think I sent you, Scott, a boilerplate version, didn't I?
Oh yeah.
So the SBDC has a copy of them, but I don't think there is a link on the SBA website of what the boilerplates look like.
We can put it in the chat if we find it. If not, then we will have it on the next chat or next Friday. I don't know what day it is. So we'll have it on there Friday.
Oh my gosh, look at all this. All right, Rob Burke, where can you get PVP info for landlords? Well, I keep texting you, but here you go. Send it to you one more time. You got to call us and email us. We'll give it to you. All right, somebody says we're doing a great job. That's exciting. Thanks for all the hard work. You're welcome.
Thank you, Karen.
Oh, yeah, give people like another 15 seconds on this. I'm seeing 63
PPP is
people.
1%.
1%?
1%, everyone. PPP is 1%.
And the interest starts immediately when you get the money. Okay, that's when the interest starts immediately, even though the payment's deferred.
So you want to make sure you're using that money appropriately. And now that the 60%, it's been lowered from 75 to 60% on payroll, that should be pretty doable for a lot of business owners, hopefully.
Okay, so 5 more seconds to get your poll responses in and click the submit button. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and end the poll. Thank you very much for the 67 people who voted. Just so you know, I don't believe in keeping things from everybody. This is how people voted. So lots of people want to see the cash flow management and planning. That's great. We have a great one that Paul Barzo did a while ago, and we can bring that back certainly. Next highest score I saw was how companies have successfully pivoted. We'll make sure we pull some stuff out on that. Adding e-commerce to the business was the next highest, as well as these negotiations. We had a great thing with led by a restaurant team on retail and restaurant lease negotiations a couple of weeks ago. We can bring that one back for sure. As well as the HR help for reopening and help with an exit strategy for those of you who are just, it's where the finance no longer makes sense. Obviously, we're all trying to survive this thing, but sometimes that survival means something different. All right, thank you very much. Yep.
Can you let everybody know how to access other webinars?
So if you're getting emails about this, you will get emails when we put those on the schedule. You're probably all getting a daily blast, like a blast every couple of days about what's coming up this week and stuff like that. They'll be on there, but we'll also make sure they're on the www.norcalsbdc.org website. And probably on the Ask SBDC one as well, but I can't be sure about that. That kind of focuses on the finance stuff, whereas these are other things that the SBDC does. And of course, your local SBDC center may be doing a whole bunch of other stuff as well, but these are the things we were looking to do on a regional level. So reach out to your local SBDC center, look on their website and see what they've got scheduled as webinars, because they can give you some help on those. All right.
All right, so we answered, there was more questions that came in, so they're kind of floating in, so we'll just keep answering them. When is the EIDL open for all? Any information? You should actually call and text Noah about that. I'm sure he knows.
Well, thanks, Scott. The answer is no. that is unknown. And at the moment, it is open for agricultural businesses, and there's no indication that it's going to be opening, wider. It may. But there's no current ETA that it's going to open up wider or go back to what it was a couple months ago.
So just got to note some very nice person, Mitchell Pierce has given us some information that they could help the California Association of Realtors. I'll just pop that information into the chat. So if you're the person who's looking for that landlord information, Mitchell's email is there.
All right.
Cool. All right, I think we're done.
I think we're going to call it. Yeah, thank you, everybody. Have a great Wednesday. We'll see you Friday at 10:30. We'll do this all over again. And yeah, thank you very much.
All righty.
Everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.